Kia ora. Good evening. I'm going to take you on a fun cleansing tutorial, so stick with me. Mwah. I'm going to take you to the front door. My favourite shirt. So remember the other day I was talking about voodoo dolls and curses, and I was talking about how you can put salt across your threshold and, my rehua spray. So I thought I would give you a quick tutorial on how to protect your house from negative energy on a budget before you have to resort to things like my rehua spray. Anyone can do it for any reason, but it'll keep negativity away from your door. So basically all you do is just get normal salt, normal table salt, rock salt if you've got it, but table salt will do. And before you do anything, especially if you move into a new home or business, you put the salt across the threshold there, on the ground bit, not here, but there. Okay. So that anyone who comes to your home has to step across the salt to get into the house. You can put it there on the inside of the house if you want, but do the outside of the house first. Before you do anything, salt the threshold, so that anyone stepping into the house has to step over the salt, right? So it keeps negative energy away. But when you're inside, you're protected. You're trying to protect yourself from energy that's on the outside from coming in. So you're safe here for now. So do the outside first and then do the inside. Then, if you want, this is the window, right? You can put salt across the windowsill, my toys, across the windowsill, like across here, by the window, especially if you're from a culture where you believe that spirits enter the house through the windows. If you put salt across here, just here on the windowsill, right, it will protect anything negative from, or unwanted as well, from coming inside through the window. Just close that. Hang on. So the other thing you can do is put lavender by your door, because basically what happens is you can also use sage, but you don't need to buy sage brushes or sage bush on eBay. They sell sage at the supermarket that you'll find in the herbs and spices aisle. So you can just buy sage and wrap it in a piece of light paper or like tissue paper, and then light it, and let the smoke like waft across your door. You can do the four corners of your doors. You can do the four corners of your windows as well. When I get my rehua spray, you'll be able to just use my rehua spray. I've got to patent it. And then I need to be able to like make it in large quantities, but it has been trialled. Now the difference between my rehua spray and using salt or sage is the fact that with salt and sage it keeps negative energy away. Lavender, it stops unwanted visitors from crossing your threshold. And the reason why it works is because they're very, very strong smelling. They're very sort of pungent, aromatic smells, very hard hitting. And how energy works, especially in conjunction with molecules and atoms and like ion particles, is that smells like lavender and like salt because it's very acidic. Like it's, if you think of, like in the Bible, how we talk about the lakes of sulfur, right, in hell, sulfates and sulfur in that, it's got salt. So it works the same way. It keeps negative energy away because it's the same frequency, but it also breaks down negative energy as well, because the acidity in the salt and the strong molecules in the composition of the lavender and the sage, when it gets into your nostrils, it's like it's a strong enough pungent smell that it like reaches the back of your nose, like, and if it's strong enough, you can feel it in your throat. So because your biological material, because we are made of atoms, because we are full of, all sorts of particles and interesting cells and that sort of thing, we're made up of the same thing as the air, as the water, as the soil, as the earth, as the trees, as, other mammals and all that sort of thing, as other planets and that even. We're all made up of the same thing. And if it affects you, it's affecting the ion particles in the atmosphere around you as well. So if it's strong enough for you to smell in the back of your nose and like, down your throat and even sometimes in your chest or the back of your head, depending on how fresh or how dry, because a lot of stuff is actually stronger when it's dry than it is when it's fresh. So that's why sage is always really good, and why you don't need to buy the sage brushes and that on eBay, because the dried sage that you get from the supermarket, which is cheaper, it's dried, so it's stronger. And even if you can't smell it, I can guarantee you the energy in the atmosphere will be picking it up in the ionic particles of the atmosphere. And what you're wanting to protect is your biomagnetic atmosphere, and your biomagnetic frequency is all based on who you've been around, who you have around you, and where you go. Because your biomagnetic parameter is almost like your invisible force field, and who you let in to that force field and up to that force field can dictate a lot of what happens in your life and within your psychological mind. So you have to be aware of everything around you. You have to be aware of your surroundings and protect your energy from it, because irrespective of what you think about demons or ghosts or whatever, you need to be more. My mother used to say she was more afraid of the living than she was of the dead, because she used to say, like, the dead can't hurt you. So you need to be aware of who you're around and what you're around, because like I was saying the other day, even things like gossip, if people are gossiping about you, you can be picking up on that negative energy, on that negative frequency, because if they're thinking about you, you could be picking up on it and not knowing why. You could be absorbing all of that, and you need to protect yourself from it, even if you don't know who's doing it, and even if you do know who's doing it, or especially if it's from people that you think you should be able to trust, right? So you need to protect yourself. And the way to do that, if you're not strong enough of mind to do it, these things Papatūānuku, God, the universe, put here for us to be able to use to protect us until we're strong enough to be able to protect ourselves energetically using the power of our mind and the strength of will. So things like lavender and salt and sage are so strong that they not only push negative energy away because it's a higher density of energy than negative energy, so it not only pushes it away, but it breaks it down. It breaks the negative energy down because it's dense. It's also heavier in gravity. If you think of like a bubble or like a drop of water, and then putting like a bowling ball inside it, or like a ball bearing inside it. The ball bearing is denser and heavier, and as soon as it is put in the water, obviously the molecules in the water are going to break down and separate, right? So that's basically the same thing that happens. The minerals and the molecules in the sage and the salt and the lavender is so strong that when it penetrates negative energy, it breaks it apart because it's denser in molecular structure, according to like your sense of smell. So, I mean, it makes sense to me. I'm visually seeing it in my head as I'm talking as well. So, so you can use these things and they will protect you the same way as amulets and talismans and all that sort of thing. But the only difference is this has been offered up by the planet and it's not been put together by a person. And the thing is when you buy stuff that's been put together by a person, you have no way of knowing their frame of mind when they're putting these things together, when they're popping it in the mail, you know, that sort of thing. And it's no judgment on them. I'm just saying that with certain things that we use to protect ourselves, we have to be very, very careful who we choose to buy it from, because we don't know their story as well. And energy is transferable just like an STD. So you have to be so careful with who you're around and what you're around and what you bring into your home. So you can buy your lavender to put by the door. It keeps unwanted visitors to your door. It keeps anything unwanted, anything you don't want near your door, it keeps it away. You can use a posy, you can use lavender oil, you can put lavender by your door, the front door, back door, whatever. Just keep it by the front door, the back door, anywhere where people can walk through the door and come into the home. And then obviously you can do the same with your windows of your house as well. And like I said, if you're from a culture where you believe that spirits come in and out through the windows, if you put the salt there, it keeps everything at bay. It keeps anything that makes you afraid. It pushes fear away. Okay, so with my rehua spray, the difference is I am a reverend, so the water that I use in it is blessed, so it's holy water. And with my rehua spray, you can use it anywhere, including on your personal self. So you can spray your body with it. You can spray it on the windows, the thresholds of your door, your doorways, on your bedding. I've told my test subjects, to spray the four corners of their bed. You can spray around your bed, because mine is done in a way that when you spray it, it doesn't just protect you and push negative energy away, but it also turns everything that it touches into consecrated ground. And it stays consecrated. So long after you've gone and moved out of your home, in 100 years' time, if your building is still standing, the windows and the doors and around where your bed was will be consecrated ground. So anybody who moves in after you also has the same level of protection. And my spray also is, and I have test subjects, and all the reports I got back are on my Facebook and Instagram and all of that. X, I think, too. Definitely Facebook and X. It also, anxiety, if you have anxiety, it helps you with sleep as well. It helps you, and if you spray it off around your bedroom window or around your bed, and that, it does help you sleep. You can also use it with bodies that have been laid to rest, people that have died. If you spray it on the body or around their bed when they're dying, it helps with their purification process as they're starting to die, as they're starting to decay and turn back into atoms. It basically, I'm a high priestess and I prepare people for death and the afterlife. So if they're dying or they have died, then it helps them shed karma. It helps them shed baggage so that when they cross into the underworld, there's less weight for them to carry when they get their souls measured. When they go before the judge and face Judgment Day, it helps prepare them for all of that and shed some of the baggage, makes their load to the underworld a lot of, an easier journey for them. It's safe for animals. You can even drink it. It would taste gross. It wouldn't taste very nice. And it might make you a little bit sick, but not in a, it's all chemical free. It's 100% organic, but, you can drink it. You could drink it, but if you drank like gallons of it, it wouldn't be good. You'd be, blah. But you can drink it. Like, you could drink like a glass of it and you'd be completely fine. But obviously, how you can get salt poisoning and water poisoning and all of that. Anything that you have in too much of a quantity is not going to be good for you. But you can drink it. So if your kids drink it or, your animals get hold of it, you're going to be completely fine as long as they don't drink too much of it. Like if you don't have too much salt or too much potassium or whatever. So it's all organic, but in large quantities, is going to hurt the body, but who the hell's going to drink it in large quantities? So so that's all you need to do. Table salt, just innocent, harmless table salt, or like I said, go and get some sage from the supermarket. Get yourself some lavender. You can buy lavender pouches. You know how you can buy the pouches of lavender to hang in your wardrobe to keep moths away. And remember as well, moths are the totem of the underworld. Moths carry souls to the underworld, and you use lavender to keep moths away, because in some cultures they believe that, if you hang lavender up, it keeps the Grim Reaper away. So, it's all the same thing, but it's all superstition. However, on a scientific level, there is basis for merit in the old wives' tale, because it is actually correct. When you look at it from a scientific perspective, you can understand why they believed that these things work, because from a scientific standpoint, they're correct. It does work. And as an occult scientist, it's my job to let you know what has scientific merit when it comes to this sort of thing and what doesn't, and to be able to help you make all the best choices, when you're wanting to protect yourself from unwanted spiritual attacks or negative energy, or negative people or toxic situations or toxic people or whatever, so and it's cheap, and you don't need to be calling mediums in and psychics and all of that. You do it yourself. It's like God said, he wants you to do it all yourself. He wants you to get to know him yourself. So, you know, I'm a high priestess. I'm an indigenous shaman. I'm sitting here in my t-shirt. And I can show you how to do it. And I'm going to show you how to do it where you're not paying out a fortune, where it has the same effect. And then if you just wait long enough for me to patent my rehua spray, then my spray does it all. You know, it helps you sleep, it helps with anxiety, it helps with PTSD. People use it when they're driving in their car, you know, for road rage. I know a lot of people say that they've sprayed it in their car when they go driving because it helps them stay calm. It helps with anxiety, panic attacks, all that sort of thing. But it also consecrates, you know, so when you spray it on yourself, it's the equivalent of walking around with a crucifix or whatever, but it purifies your personal space, and it keeps it purified and cleansed and whole. And it should, in theory, if you spray it across the thresholds of your front door, like where I told you, you know, put it first, and if you put it on the four corners of the outside of your front door and any door that leads into the house, and technically if you sprayed it over your front garden, you know, like the perimeters of your property, technically, but I have no basis of evidence. I haven't been able to study it yet, but technically it should keep like burglars and that away, troublemakers, the undesirables, you know, these freaks that you see ringing people's doorbell cams and all of that. It should technically leave you energetically invisible to the darker elements. But you can't quote me on that because it's one area of trials for my rehua spray that I haven't trialed yet, but technically it should, because police officers and security guards and anyone like soldiers should be able to spray this on their person, and even like spray their tanks and their cars and that, and it should technically protect them and keep them safe as well. But again, I haven't been able to trial it, but I would love to. So it would make them invisible to anything that had impure intention or negative intention. Energetically, they should be invisible. But I haven't studied that yet. It's not anything that I've trialed yet, but I have trialed it for things like PTSD, anxiety, depression, people with insomnia, people with like nervous disorders, pain, people who have pain, and especially people who have suffered from any form of sexual or domestic violence, including males. I have trialled it on males with PTSD and that as well, and it works a treat. It's a Bobby Dazzler. So, yeah. So now you know what to do, and I will speak to you later. My feet flapping in the wind. I just sit in my t-shirt. God, you know, I'm single, but when I get into a relationship, I hope he likes me in my old fat t-shirts, because I love them so much, and they're holy and they're see-through. You can see through it because I just love them so much that I'm wearing them till they fall off my body. Fall off my body. So yeah, okay. So I'm going to go now. I shall speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Mwah.